أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شأنه كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعذب عنه معاصي العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خير يراه ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يراه نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق وهوى أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله ونظم أمركم. I advise you all and myself to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to organize our affairs. Dear mu'mineen, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. قال أمير المؤمنين عليه الصلاة والسلام فقسم بينهم معايشهم ووضعهم في الدنيا مواضعهم. This phrase is the continuation of what we started last week, which was the sermon of Muttaqeen, Khutbatul Muttaqeen, which is a very famous sermon from Nahjul Balagha, where Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam defines the qualities of pious people. And Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam informs his companion Hammam when he asked Sifli al-Muttaqeen, "Oh Ali, please explain and tell me the characteristics of how a God-fearing person should be." So this is how Amir al-Mu'minin started, and as promised that we are going to inshallah reflect upon and try to understand this sermon and its phrases. Now Imam Ali, before going into the qualities of pious people, explains and prepares the mindset of his audience and people like us. Now what should we understand from being pious before going into the qualities? So before, what we discussed earlier, that Amir al-Mu'minin talked about how Allah created his creation, mankind, and that pious people, mu'mineen, while obeying Allah, should not think that they are giving something to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to benefit anything from our obedience, nor He is going to gain any harm from our disobedience. This is what Amir al-Mu'minin said in the beginning. And now, very important thing, Imam says, فَقَسَمَ بَيْنَهُمْ مَعَايِشَهُمْ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after creating his creation, Allah distributed the sustenance, the livelihood amongst the people, the creation He created. وَوَضَعَهُمْ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا مَوَاضِعَهُمْ. And He assigned their proper places on this earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned every creature its place, and they are living accordingly. Now this idea is again presented in many verses of the Holy Quran. I'm going to just quote 3 of those ayats, and you have multiple ayats explaining this issue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking the responsibility of providing sustenance and livelihood to its creation. Now, in chapter Zukhruf, verse number 32, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ahum yaqsimuna rahmat rabbik. Are they who are distributing the mercy of Allah amongst themselves? Nahnu qasamna baynahum ma'ayashahum fil hayati dunya. We are the one who are distributing the livelihood, and we are distributing the sustenance in this world for them. And then we have raised positions of some of them above others. وَرَفَعْنَا بَعْضُهُمْ فَوْقَ بَعْض دَرَجَاتٍ. Why? لِيَتَّخِذْ بَعْضُهُمْ بَعْضًا سُخْرِيًّا, so that they can, benefit from other people's services. وَرَحْمَةُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. And the mercy of Allah is better than what they amass, what they collect for themselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very, very clearly says, it is not them who are distributing the bounties, the blessings, the favors upon the creation, but it is us, it is me, it is your Lord, who نحن قسمنا بينهم معيشتهم. We are the one who are distributing the sustenance to the creation. Now in second ayah also, chapter Saba, verse number 39. Again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, قُلْ إِنَّ رَبِّي يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ وَيَقْدِرَ لَهُ. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. O Prophet, tell them, inform them that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who determines and increases the sustenance of whomever He wants. يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ وَيَقْدِرْ لَهُ. And He is the one who determines, He is the one who provides this sustenance to these people. وَمَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. And remember, whatever He is giving you, if you are spending it in His path, He is going to give it back to you. وَمَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. He is going to reward you. He is going to give it back to you. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. And He is the best sustainer. He is the one who provides you best. One more ayah very quickly, and then we'll get into the details. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Now this is very interesting, and there is a story coming right after this verse. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. This is important now. This is something that gives us the motivation, the encouragement to understand, and it strengthens our belief that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that provides us our sustenance. It is not the creation of Allah. وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. There is no creature on the face of the earth unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides its sustenance. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who provides the sustenance to every creature on earth. وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who knows where every creature dwells and rests and are living. كُلٌّ فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. And everything is written in His glorious book. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one providing sustenance to each and every creature, each and every living body on the face of the earth. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we must also understand this, these verses and these ayats should not give us a misunderstanding that, okay, now since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us that He is going to give us whatever we need, so we may sit in peace and wait for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send the livelihood, our sustenance, and we are going to wait and do nothing. No, it is not the case, where again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us that anna laysa lil insani illa ma sa'a. A person is going to only get what he thrives for, what he works hard for. Unless and until we work hard for something, we are not going to get that. We are not going to achieve that. So these ayats should not give us a misunderstanding and should not mislead us that no, since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised, we can just sit and relax and the rizq, it's going to fall down from the skies and we are going to just go and collect it. No, it's not going to be that easy. We have to work hard for that. Anna laysa lil insani illa ma sa'a. Now, again, this ayah which I just recited, that there is no creature on the face of the earth but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised its sustenance. There is this narration and a story which is narrated on behalf of Prophet Solomon, Prophet Sulaiman, as we say. One day, Prophet Sulaiman, he was sitting and relaxing at the seashore, and he all of a sudden noticed an ant moving towards the water, towards the shore. And this ant had a piece of wheat, a grain of wheat in its mouth, and it was moving towards the shore, the water. Now, Prophet Sulaiman kept on noticing and following this ant, that what it is going to do, how it is going to, consume its food. All of a sudden, Prophet Sulaiman noticed that a frog came out of the water and opened its mouth. And this ant carrying this grain of wheat entered the mouth of the frog and sat down. The frog closed the mouth, went back into the water, into the depth of the sea, on the sea. Now, he waited and he was surprised that what happened. This ant was, walking properly. It could have not, and it could have not entered. Why did it enter the mouth of this frog? What happened? So as he was pondering and, trying to understand what had happened, then he again notices that the same frog emerges out of the water and again comes back to the shore and opens its mouth, and the same ant comes out of the mouth of the frog. Now this time the ant is not carrying that grain of wheat in its mouth. So Prophet Sulaiman called that ant and asked and inquired that what is going on? What did I just see? So the ant said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now this is what this ayah is saying, this is what Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam is telling here. The first step for a pious person is to understand that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has taken up the responsibility to provide the sustenance. Now, the ant replied, O Prophet of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned me with an assignment that every day I will have to carry a piece of grain in my mouth, and have also assigned this frog to come out, and I will enter the mouth of this frog. This frog is assigned to carry me into the depths of the sea. There is a rock beneath, under the sea in the depth, and that rock is shallow and has a hole inside, and within that rock Allah has created a worm, and that worm lives inside that hole of the rock, and I am assigned to carry that piece of grain in the mouth of this frog, and this frog goes and leads me to that rock and opens his mouth. I enter the rock, I provide this grain to the worm and come back the same path. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides sustenance even to the smallest of creatures that He has created. Now, just imagine us, people, Bani Adam. لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I have given respect to Bani Adam. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who takes care of such small worms, wouldn't take care of us? Of course He's going to. It is us who overthink, who overdo, who think that we are doing something for ourselves. No, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Prophet Sulaiman asked the ant that, have you ever heard anything from this worm that you go and feed? So the ant replies, yes. When I feed the worm praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this manner. Ya man la yansani fi jawfi hadhihi as-sakhrati tahta hadhihi al-lujja. Oh Allah, oh my Lord, who never forgets my sustenance even in this stone at the bottom of the sea. Oh my Lord, who never forgets me to provide my sustenance. La tansa, this is the dua that creature, that worm is making. La tansa ibadaka al-mu'minina bi rahmatik. Oh Allah, who is providing me with this sustenance and livelihood, my rizq, you are providing me into the depths of the ocean, of the sea. Please also don't forget your mercy towards your faithful servants. This is the dua that this worm is, making over there when he finds his sustenance and his rest being reached to him. Someone asked our fourth Imam, our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. They asked Imam, Mawla, what are your principles in life? What are your important fundamentals to lead a successful life? So Imam replies and says, those four principles. Alim, to, again, the same issue, that same topic, to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to provide the sustenance. It is not us. We are not doing anything. Yes, our efforts are there, our du'as are there are things that help us gain those things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned and destined and divided for us amongst its creatures and his servants. But sometimes, we are the people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might have assigned a rizq for us, but we ourselves create hurdles. We ourselves create those foundations for reaching that sustenance to us. We sometimes, our sins, our errors, us not working hard enough, not working in the right direction, many reasons contribute to this issue. Now Imam alayhi salatu wasalam replies and reminds us that there are 4 principles in my life. 4 important principles. Who? The 6th Imam. Imam says, Alimtu anna amali la ya'maluhu ghayri. This is the first thing I understood. That I have to work for myself. Nobody is going to work for me. Alimtu anna amali la yu'miluhu ghayri. My work, I have to do my work. My duties, my responsibilities, nobody is going to come and fulfill my duties and my responsibilities. Therefore, I understood this truth and I work hard for the fajtahad. Therefore, I am working hard for that. I work for that. I strive. Second important principle. Alimtu anna Allah azza wa jalla muttali'un alayya. I have understood, I have knowledge, I have understood. This is the second principle. I have understood that my Lord is always aware of what I am doing. Therefore, فَأَسْتَحْيَيْتُ. Therefore, I am ashamed. I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to commit any error and sin. I don't want to disobey Him because I know He is always watching me. I am under constant surveillance. Therefore, if a person has this principle in his life, it is a good principle and his life is going to be a life of a muttaqi. This is the second principle. Third important principle Imam notifies, and this relates to our topic today. Alimtu anna rizqi la ya'kuluhu ghayri. I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned rizq for me. Whatever is assigned for me, nobody can eat that, nobody can consume that, nobody can snatch it away from me if Allah has assigned it for me. This is the third principle in the life of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned something for me, it is destined to reach me. He has distributed. This is the faith that we need to have. That alimtu anna rizqi la ya'kuluhu ghayri fa'atma'nantu. Therefore, I am satisfied. You need to reach the level of satisfaction. You have to understand whatever Allah has given you, whatever Allah has prescribed for you, it is going to reach to you. No one can stop it. No power can stop the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not assigned something for you, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to get it because it is not your rizq. It is not something that you have to, have. It is not something that you need to have in your possession. Therefore, you're not going to get it. So don't try don't waste your time, don't waste resources and your strength on useless things that are not for you. Therefore, Imam says, this is my third important principle in life, that I have understood that whatever Allah has appointed and assigned and distributed for me, la ya'kulhu khayri. No one can consume that other than me. If it is for me, it is going to reach me. Fourth important principle, Imam says, wa alimtu anna akhara amri al-maut. This is again very important, that I have talked about a lot yesterday night also. Fourth important principle that Imam talks about is that alimtu anna akhara amri al-maut. I have understood a reality in life that the end and the conclusion and the end of my life is maut. At the end, I am going to die. This is the reality that I have understood and I have accepted it. Some people, they know the realities of the world, they know the truth in front of them, but they are not ready to accept it. Sometimes this is the problem. If you ask them, you're going to die, they said, yes, I know. But sometimes they don't accept these realities. Imam says, alimtu fasta'attu. Alimtu, I understood, therefore I did this. I understood this, so therefore I did that. Imam, at the fourth principle of his life, is saying, Alimtu anna akhara amri al-maut. I know my final destination is death. Therefore, I am ready. Fasta'adattu. Therefore, I am prepared. I am ready, because anytime, any moment, death, can come, and I am ready for that. These are the four important principles that Imam alayhi salatu wasalam notifies here. And the most important thing that Imam Ali والسلام, in that sermon that we started last week, and we are inshallah going to continue again, Imam reminds us that, your sustenance and your livelihood, the promise is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are going to get what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined for you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ma'rifah, the understanding of His qada wal qadar, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ma'rifah and better understanding of His mercies. Inna ahsan al-hadith wa ablaghu al-maw'ida kitab Allah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع المذنبين أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله حجة ابن الحسن المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله ونظم أمركم. In this second part of the sermon, again, I would like to notify and discuss another important issue related to this understanding that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has promised us that He is going to provide our sustenance. Now this is for those of my brothers who came late. We are discussing the sermon of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, which is known as Khutbatul Muttaqeen. And in the next part today that we are discussing, Imam says, فَقَسَمَ بَيْنَهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed their livelihood and their sustenance between His creation, amongst the creation, وَوَضَعَهُمْ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا مَوَاضِعَهُمْ, and has given them their precise positions on in this world. Now there is a very dangerous issue related to this matter. When it comes to this understanding and to this belief that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that provides the sustenance, and He is the one who has promised us that He is going to give us something, and whatever we have, it is for us, and whatever we don't have is not meant for us. While he's going through all these understandings, there is a very dangerous issue that comes into place, and that is the issue of jealousy, envying other people. Now what sometimes happens is that whatever I have, I'm not content, and whatever others have, I'm always jealous of what they have, whatever possessions and things they have. Therefore, this issue of jealousy again relates to this issue, and we need to understand that Imam alayhi salatu wasalam is reminding us indirectly that we have to get to this understanding before understanding the qualities of a pious person, that we need to refine ourselves out of these vices, these ethical problems, these moral issues, and we need to cleanse ourselves. And this issue and danger of jealousy has been mentioned in many ethical books, and many of the scholars, they have described this issue as one of the most important and dangerous issues in the spiritual life of a mu'min, which is known as hasad. Hasad is jealousy, envying someone. Now, we, in order to understand, and in order to have this understanding, we need to stay content on God's divisions. We need to have the satisfaction that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed amongst His creatures and the creation, that is the best thing. Otherwise, what is going to happen? I'll tell you what happens in depth. Just a glimpse of what wrong is happening. When a person is not satisfied what he has, and when he feels jealous for what others have, what he is doing unknowingly is that he is doubting the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. Now how that happens? It is happening while in the subconscious mind, what a person is having in his mind is that I'm not satisfied what I have, and I'm not happy to see what others have. Therefore, I'm jealous of them. Now, this is what a person is doing. He is basically weak in his aqeedah, in his belief on the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he does not believe that Allah has done justice in providing what others have and in not providing what he has. Therefore, this person is actually not believing in the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not satisfied. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in one of his ahadith al-Qudsi, where Allah says, Al-hasidu aduwun li ni'mati, mutasakhitun li qada'i, ghayru radin li qismati allati qasamtu bayna ibadi. What a person, envious person does is that a jealous person is the enemy of my favors and blessings. Aduwwun, he's the enemy of my ni'mat li ni'mati, he's the enemy. He does not like what I have given to others. Mutasakhitun liqada'i, he is not happy what I have distributed, what divisions I have made, what I have given others. He's angry towards my decisions. He's angry. He's not غَيْرُ رَاضٍ لِقِسْمَتِهِ. He does not like my decisions, what I have decided for you, for himself and for others. الَّتِي قَسَمْتُ بَيْنَ عِبَادِي. And one day, that is an interesting long story. I'm just going to quote a small sentence from that which relates to our topic today. One day, Iblis came to Prophet Nuh and said that I want to give you an advice. So it is always good to take advice from anyone who is giving, even if it is Iblis. Take advice. Good advice is always good from wherever it comes to you. So Iblis says to the Prophet, I want to give you an advice. So Prophet says, okay, give me. Tell me what you want to advise. Amongst all those other things, Iblis says that, you know what, why today I'm in this state and in this position that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kicked me off out of his heavens. It was because of hasad. It was because of jealousy, because of envying Prophet Adam. And we have so many other examples. Example of Iblis, we have. Example of Habil and Qabil, we have. How Qabil was envious towards his brother, was jealous of him. And how the brothers of Prophet Yusuf were jealous of Prophet Yusuf and wanted to throw him to the well. Now this is all what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to refrain from, and we need to understand. We have so many other examples. This hasad, in one of the narrations from our 10th Imam, Imam al-Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam, Imam says, Iyaka wal hasad, beware of hasad, beware of jealousy. Don't let it come near you. Beware of this. Because you know, hasad, it's going to corrupt your iman from within. You won't even know, a person won't even understand how he is, you know, the condition of decaying from within, the soul getting corrupted from this hasad, from this dangerous vice of ruh and the soul. Imam says, Iyaka wal hasad, refrain and beware to be jealous. فَإِنَّهُ يُبَيِّنُ فِيكَ وَلَا يَعْمَلُ فِي عَدُوِّكَ. Why we have to stay, we have to be aware, and why we have to refrain from being jealous? Because it is going to be apparent in your behavior, it is going to appear somewhere in your attitude towards your life, and it is going to harm you, whereas it is not going to harm anyone other than you. It is not going to harm your enemy, it is not going to harm people you are being jealous of, it is not going to harm anybody who you envy, but it is going to only corrupt you and harm your soul. So why do something that is not going to, you know, there is again a story, one more very important story quickly. At the time of, you know, these stories are not just for you to, whereas it is for you to wake up and listen carefully, but it is for the youth also to understand and to keep these concepts in their mind fresh. Now, it was the time of one of the Abbasi caliphs in Baghdad. There used to be a wealthy man, and he lived peacefully, never used to harm anyone. And there was a neighbor of this wealthy and rich man who always was jealous of his progress. And they lived side by side, wall to wall. Their houses were close, wall to wall. Now, this man, who was always jealous of the wealth of his neighbor, always tried to do something, to harm his neighbor, to, always try to do something in order for him to, feel bad and to feel insulted, and to, somehow he wanted all these blessings not to reach him. Now, one day he was tired and he did everything he could to harm his neighbor, but he did not achieve anything. He kept on harming himself, as Imam ﷺ is saying in his narration in this report. So he sat down and he thought, what should I do to harm him? Because this jealousy, it keeps on increasing if you don't stop it at some point. So he was thinking what to do and how to harm him. He came up with a very evil idea. And he went to the market of slaves, bought a slave, trained his slave for a good year, trained him well, and made him a loyal slave. And after a year, he called his slave and he told him to come here. And he called his slave and he asked him, am I your lord? Am I your master? He said, yes, you are my master. You are the one, you owe me. And you own me. The master says, you owe me. And the servant says, yes, you own me. So he says, what can you do? The master says, what can you do for me? The slave replies, I owe my life to you. So even if you ask me to jump into a fire, I'm going to jump into a fire. Whatever you say, I'm going to do. This is how obedient he became, and this is how he worked 1 year for him. Now, when he heard this reply, he understood that the servant is ready for my wishes and for my evil plan and the plot he wanted to, plan for his neighbor. He said, okay, tonight you're going to meet me on the rooftop of our house, and we're going to go upstairs, and you meet me there, then I'm going to tell you my plan. Night falls, they both go upstairs. On the rooftop, the master hands over a dagger to this servant and says, you are going to kill me, and you are going to behead me, kill me, and throw my body in the house of my neighbor. You're going to throw my body in the house of my neighbor, so that tomorrow morning, when they find my body, they are going to accuse my neighbor of my murder, and he is going to be put into dungeon, and I'm going to, after this life, I'm going to be happy to see him in dungeon, to see him in prison, to see him being accused of my murder. This is the extent a person falls. Now, so the servant says, no, my lord, you are my lord. What am I going to do without you in this life? I cannot do this. He forces him, and then, he obeys, and the servant, he puts the dagger in his stomach and kills him and beheads him and throws the body the other side, the house of the neighbor. Next morning, everybody discovered the murder. They discovered the body. They understood that there was a body in this neighbor's house, in the house of the wealthy man. And he was arrested and taken to this Abbasi caliph, his court. And he was interrogated. And he was asked, what have you done? He said, no. He pleaded, no, I have done nothing. This was a mistake. I don't know. I'm unaware of this situation. Now, the caliph says, you need to, arrest the slave also. So the slave is being bought. He asks the slave what happened. The slave thought, this poor wealthy man, he's being accused of something that he's not done, and he's going to be hanged, going to be killed for what he's not done. And I will be responsible for the murder of my master and again for the murder of this person. So I cannot bear this, I cannot live with this. So he says, and he accepts and he confesses that it was him who killed his master. And this was the peak of jealousy that his master had for his neighbor. Upon listening to this, they decided to free the slave also and leave him alone, and because he accepted and confessed. Now what happened here, this person, out of jealousy, he killed himself, he also put others into danger, and he did not achieve anything out of his jealousy. This is what Imam ﷺ is saying, that if you are jealous of someone, it is not going to harm the person you are jealous of. It is only going to harm you and going to kill you from within. Therefore, now there are so many other solutions and practical things that a person can do in order to cure himself out of this evil vice. And let me just quickly tell you some a golden rule which many of the scholars, they have put this into place. They say that if you feel jealous of someone, you are eventually going to talk bad about him. You're going to, wish bad about him. You're going to, think bad about him. You're going to hate them. Therefore, if you are jealous of someone and you want to cure yourself from this jealousy, from this envious feeling, you need to start thinking good about that person. You need to start talking good about, do exactly opposite the way you feel about him. 180 degrees around. You have to feel whatever you are feeling, you have to do exactly opposite. Now, you might not love him from within, but you at least try to, say it from your tongue, even if it is a lie. Even if you are not telling the truth, what is inside your heart. This is gradually going to make you feel better towards the person you are unnecessarily being jealous of. This is one of those cures that many of the scholars, they have prescribed. Now, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand these words of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, especially this sermon that we are discussing. We started last week. We discussed again this phrase today, and we are still inshallah going to discuss it in the coming weeks, that what are the qualities of a pious person and what are the characteristics of pious people. And this is there in Khutbatul Muttaqeen. People who are interested can go and refer to this sermon, which is there in Nahjul Balagha. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على نبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وصل على أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. وصل على فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلي بن الحسين. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد بن علي. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجعفر بن محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وموسى بن جعفر. اللهم صل على محمد وعلي بن موسى. اللهم صل على محمد ومحمد بن علي. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلي بن محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد والحجة بن الحسن القائم المنتظر المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العلي العظيم.